testing, blood work, and nutrition, but I've added red light therapy and sauna therapy to benefit those of Central Illinois. To learn more, click on my banner ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
It's time now for the WTIM Morning Show right here on WTIM, your information station. I'm Tim Zalabak, your host, and thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We're on Facebook at Taylorville Daily News and on YouTube at WTIM TV. In studio, we're very happy to have back Lisa Peterson, nutrition and wellness educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Lisa, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Doing super well. Thanks for being back in studio. We've been talking about your classes, maybe with some other extension folks that we're happy to have you in studio to talk about, get the full breakdown. But it's going to kind of pair well with our recent conversations with the Taylorville Food Pantry, learning to shop smart recipes that are healthy and also smart, low ingredients. So let's break it all down. You got a class upcoming.
Yes, I'm very excited. So we've been doing these monthly classes with the Pana Community Hospital with the Live Well Pana, and we're continuing them.
Right.
So we just did, I believe we did a pressure cooker class last month. And now this month we're going to be doing eating on a budget using 5 ingredients or less.
Okay.
So this class is really focused on, again, using less ingredients and being a little bit more creative with less ingredients.
Absolutely.
So we do talk a little bit about herbs and using things like that, using seasoning packets. We talk about kind of the breakdown of the pros and cons of using less ingredients. But again, it's less trips to the grocery store. My concern, of course, is the nutrition side of things. Yeah. So we do get really into those canned vegetables, canned fruit, as well as frozen, because they last for a long time and they're very versatile. They work with a lot of different foods. So less prep time, things like that. So we kind of break that down in this class. We do talk about writing. We do have a little activity where they practice making a grocery list for a meal with very few ingredients. We do go through a little bit on... So I give them examples of 5 ingredients. What meal could we make with that? So again, being very creative, we're using less ingredients, but not making as many trips to that grocery store, kind of eating from the pantry or figuring out what's in there. How can we use it? And working together. That's kind of the idea of it too. These classes are designed where it does add a little bit of a social component. So it also makes you feel a little bit less alone. So if you're struggling with it, I'm sure there's other people who are struggling with it as well.
Absolutely.
But of course, these classes are offered at absolutely no cost. We do recommend that because we do a little bit of cooking in them. We will be cooking again next week. That you call the Live Well Fitness to sign up. Just tell them, hey, I want to come. They'll write you down on a list. So that just gives me an idea for food.
Awesome. Easy to sign up there, easy to get involved in, and no cost. That is really awesome. It's really where the rubber meets the road there with creating a grocery list. I think that's a really great piece of education to have in there. You're talking about a low number of ingredients. I immediately go to crock pot. Are we going to have different styles of cooking throughout?
Yep, we'll get into a little bit like using different appliances when cooking. We talk about, so example, making a smoothie. A smoothie can be easily under 5 ingredients. So things that it might be a meal, it might be a snack, it might be just a dessert or something very simple that you want. But again, we go through kind of the benefits, the challenges, using chicken in 5 different ways. Things that you can use 1 ingredient and make 7 different things with it. So this class does break that down a little bit. Again, we're giving you ideas. I will, of course, give out recipes. So we have tons of recipes on that. But we will talk about the challenges too. So a lot of the stuff when you buy it pre-made, we're watching calories, we're watching saturated fat, we're watching added sugar. So those are things we are looking at with these recipes as well. But again, less ingredients, less work.
Absolutely. And of course, you're so focused on nutrition here. And when we're talking about shopping smartly out there, canned vegetables, canned stuff like that, do we have to be aware of those nutritional facts?
Yeah. And that's where we talk about canned fruits and vegetables a lot. And nutritionally, canned, if they have no salt added, that's the kicker there, are almost as nutritious, or some are even more nutritious than the fresh because they're canned at peak quality. Which especially with frozen, that's definitely a big thing where that is frozen when it's the freshest. As opposed to when it comes to the grocery store, it may have been sitting out for a few days. So we do get into that a little bit. Like I said, we'll break down that sodium side of things, how to look at a label. We've done that in a lot of my other classes, but it's good to have kind of that repeat of information, as well as getting a little bit more savvy with that nutrition label. When you look at it, you're in a hurry. Is this good for me? Is this something that fits my dietary needs? And you can throw it in your cart and go.
Cool. So. It's going to be nice to have the recipes that Extension gives out, because then you can already kind of build your grocery list from that.
And a lot of my classes, I've kind of made it where I like the cooking aspect because it does have you expose you to doing very simple cooking practices. Also, we do test some of these recipes that way too. So that way, if you know we make it in class, you don't like it, you're not going to buy the ingredients.
Sure.
So we're going to save you a little bit of time there as well.
Sure. What do you find to be the common denominator out there? Is it what comes more difficult? Is it the shopping aspect or is it the cooking aspect?
It's kind of a mix. And again, if you buy things that are pre-chopped, you're saving yourself. You're going to be paying a little bit more, but you're saving yourself that extra time.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of a hit or miss with people. They're like, well, I don't know how to chop an onion. And I was just in a class lab this week and I showed them how to chop it without making you cry.
Oh.
And that has been the big hit now. Is like, there's no way that it works. And it does.
Wow.
So if you only cut through, like, say, the furry side, the side that has all the little root parts of it once, you don't tear up. And that's like one of those little tricks that we do in class. And we show you how to properly cut an onion. And like, why are you not tearing up? It's because I'm not cutting through that sulfur area every time and releasing more, making you tear up.
Yeah.
So it's little hacks like that we teach in these classes where we get those light bulb moments. And again, showing it shouldn't be hard to eat healthy and it shouldn't be hard. It's just taking that extra time. And even these 5 ingredient classes, we try to make it simple. We talk about freezer meals. We talk about ways to reuse leftovers and save money on that side too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you're really learning the life hacks.
Yes.
I've never heard of that. And you buy something, an onion's a perfect example because
Yep.
you see a video of someone creating a beautiful meal
Mhm.
and they cut up that onion so perfectly every
Yeah.
time. And then when it's standing in front of me, I go about it the wrong way and I don't end up with those beautiful squares.
Yeah.
And of course my eyes are just dripping. So this is really awesome. You talk no salt added to these canned vegetables,
Yep.
canned fruits. If we go to the fresh produce aisle, are you usually adding salt to that? Where do people get that dependence on
And
it?
that's where, because a lot of our processed food typically has a lot of sodium to it. And a lot of it you don't taste. It's already in there. That's where those nutrition facts labels are important. We say not very much actually comes off the table. So that's something's like, well, I don't salt my food. Why is my blood pressure still high? And you're not realizing that deli meat you're eating or all that bread you're eating. Pizza is one of our highest sodium foods out there.
Wow.
So if you think about it, you got bread, you got cheese, and you got deli meat.
Yep.
And that adds up. And so it's those little things like that. We do focus again on these high fiber foods and the ones that are higher, maybe potassium, that'll help blunt that effect of that sodium in your body. So it'll help control that blood pressure a little bit. But yeah, these classes are really fun. They're hopefully going to help people answer questions as well. They're like, oh, how do you use this chicken? How do you use that beef at home? And getting kind of bouncing ideas off each other too. So
yeah. I'm sure a whole lot is to be learned at this
Mhm.
night. So one more time, breakdown with the date, the time, the location.
Yeah, so this is Eating on a Budget using 5 ingredients or less. This will be October 8th from 10:30 to noon. Typically, we do get done before noon. I just say noon just in case it goes a little over. But we're going to talk. My classes are kind of hybrid. So I talk for the first 20 to 30 minutes. We might do a little activity or a couple in there. And then you break off into smaller groups and make a bunch of these recipes.
Awesome.
And then you walk around and do some taste testing.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a great night. It's as easy as calling up Panic Community Hospital, Live Well
Yep.
Fitness, and they'll get you entered in.
Yep.
at
Just
no
tell them
cost.
I want to come and they'll sign you up.
Perfect. That is super easy. Lisa Peterson in studio, nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. Couple minutes left in this first half. Can we make a healthy pizza? You said that's kind of a real bad one with the
Yep.
trifecta there.
Some of that has to do with serving sizes.
Okay.
So that's one thing too, is look at when you have a pizza, even going on to like when you buy it from a place, look at what they consider a serving size. Do you cut yours into 8 slices? Do you cut them into 16? Thinking about that side of it, making it yourself. There's ways you can get around it. You can look for the lower sodium options out there, especially when it comes to like deli meats, things like that. Breads, again, it's portion sizes, just knowing how much of it. If you love pizza and that's your favorite thing, maybe do a side salad and do a slice of pizza, not 4 slices of pizza. So adding things to it will also help. So
Deep dish slices will skew this data. I think it's going to throw off the data a little bit. I
Yes.
don't know what the
Read
serving
those labels.
sizes they are for those. Absolutely. We're going to take ourselves a break now with Lisa Peterson, nutrition and wellness educator, University of Illinois Extension, on this WTIM morning show. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. And we'll be right back here on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all trading lower at this hour. December corn down 2.5, 430. March corn 447 3/4, down 2 1/4. May corn 457, down 1 3/4. November beans 1047 3/4, down 8 1/4. January beans down 8, 1066 1/4. March beans 1081 1/4, down 7 1/2. December wheat 611, down 4 1/4. March wheat 633 1/4, down 4. October bean meal 336.40, down $5. October bean oil unchanged 43.72. Livestock market October feeders 249.15 down 57 cents. October live cattle 187.67 up a quarter. October lean hogs down 52 cents 84.15. Energy market November crude oil 73.37 up 3.27. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
It's the biggest weekend of the year on the Taylorville Square. It's the 39th annual Greater Taylorville Chamber of Commerce Chili Fest. 2 days full of music, arts and crafts vendors, and International Chili Society competition. For a complete schedule, click the Chili Fest icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. And listen for complete coverage on all 6 Miller Media Group radio stations all weekend, brought to you by CNB Bank and Trust, helping to open doors since 1854. And Taylorville Estates Assisted Living, encouraging independence, enriching lives.
It's a weekend full of chili and fun this weekend on the Taylorville Square. Hi, I'm Linda Allen, Executive Director of the Greater Taylorville Chamber of Commerce, here to invite you to 2 days packed full of food and events at our annual Chili Fest this Saturday and Sunday. 2 days of International Chili Society judging by Chili Fest Chili, Hot or Cold, entertainment on 2 stages on the square, our pageants and vendors, the Kids Zone, and so much more. Join us this Saturday and Sunday for 2 days of fun at this weekend's Taylorville Chamber Chili Fest on the Taylorville Square.
If you're 40 and over, you'll recognize these artists by their first names. Frank, Dean, Sammy, Andy, Nat, Diana, Michael. Well, here's the big news. You can now hear Central Illinois' largest music library with over 3,500 songs on air and online at 965thechill.com. Tune in on the FM dial in Christian County and on your computer or smartphone. Hear these great artists and many more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 965thechill.com.
Your Christian County Health Department has both COVID and flu vaccines available, with both high-dose and regular dose flu vaccines in stock. Call them. Make your appointment now. Get their number and more info by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Here's Dr. Pavi Gill from Springfield Clinic, Taylorville.
Lifestyle medicine is about motivating you to improve your quality of life by changing habits and behaviors.
Find out more by clicking Dr. Gill's icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into the WTIM Morning Show with Lisa Peterson, nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. So happy to have her back in studio. We also want to thank our live stream sponsors here, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, in Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. That first half with Lisa Peterson talked about the eating on a budget, 5 ingredients or less, October 8th, appearing over at Pana Community Hospital in their Live Well Fitness Center. So you can get entered into that by calling Pana Community Hospital and asking for that class. We have another class upcoming here, Lisa Peterson, soup, all about soups.
Yes. I'm very excited about this class. I just taught it in another one of my counties, cool. And it's heart healthy soups. And then we talk about techniques for better nutrition.
Right.
So this class is always a lot of fun. We do spend, again, it's kind of a hybrid class where I spend the first 20 to 30 minutes just talking about varieties of soup. So it also helps people identify things on menus. Yeah. They're like, what's a bisque? And we talk about what that is. Yeah. We do talk about kind of the basis of making soup. So why we make a mirepoix, which is kind of that combination of celery, onion, and carrots, like that base of a soup. Okay. And building those flavors within that. We do get into a little bit on the sodium side. So we talk about what does it mean when it says it's 25% less sodium? Like what does that mean on a label? Yeah. So we do get into that side on the nutrition facts. And then we do talk about the canned options, already condensed soup, that are very high in sodium. And that's the idea behind this, is how can we make stuff at home where we know how much sodium is in it? Right. We know what we're adding to it. It's all the stuff we can taste. So these classes, we made a variety of them again earlier this week in another class, and they made a butternut squash soup. They made a shrimp gumbo. They made a broccoli cheddar soup. Wow. It's a little lighter. They also made like a spinach, sausage, tomato stew in there as well. And then we did, because I'm from Minnesota, I had them do a chicken and wild rice. So you got to do a classic that, but we did 2 in a pressure cooker and the rest were all on the induction cooktop. So you did them like on a stove. Yeah. So that's the idea of it too, is we do expose you to the cooking side. I will say, if you're not comfortable cooking, I do cheat a little bit because I do some of the prep for you. Okay. So I pre-measure all of your herbs. I do a little bit on the chopping side. But you are the one making that soup. You're putting all those ingredients together. You're working with other people. And again, you need no experience. Awesome. So, and I walk around and help you guys as you work in your groups with other people to make these and then do a little taste testing. Awesome. And again, you get all the recipes. So, but it's really about making your own, adding a few more vegetables in there, making it a little heartier. And as well as having that satisfaction, you made that soup. You know what's in there. You know it's going to be good for you. So that's kind of the fun of it.
Awesome. You know it's going to be delicious
Yes.
too. When you bring up the big three with the celery, onion, and carrots right there, I saw a video where someone was chopping all those up. That's really the base. You called it mirepoix?
Yeah,
What'd you call it?
mirepoix. Yep.
Mirepoix. I've just never heard it called that
Or
before.
they call it the Holy Trinity.
Oh,
It's
Holy
also
Trinity.
Cajun cooking. They're going to add a few more things. They might add like a green pepper in there as well, but it really builds that flavor. So you'll notice most recipes for soup, they'll tell you to add oil and onion first. Those typically are the first two things, but it's how you build flavors with that start. So if you miss it, you also notice kind of a flop of a flavor. So that's one thing. Another hack we talk about in that class is at the end of your soup, because we never want to boil a soup. We want to get it to a simmer. Sometimes the flavors kind of mesh together and it gets kind of blah. That's where you add an acid.
Okay.
So at the end of a soup, my suggestion is add a splash of lemon juice, lime juice, vinegar. I've seen some people adding coffee to it now, but that acid in there actually brightens up the flavors.
Wow.
So if you're missing something, you're like, this does not taste like it should, add a little bit of acid. I'm not saying a cup of lemon juice.
Yeah.
I'm saying like a splash of it.
And that's where I struggle. And I feel like a lot of people might struggle out there when you go to taste test, especially soup, and you think it doesn't quite taste right. People go to salt.
Yes.
Add some salt in there.
Yep.
That's what I hear all the time. Never heard of this acid thing.
Yep.
I think
And
it's so
that's
cool.
with salt. I tell you, be very careful because the seasoning, you want to add salt near the end. If you're going to add any type of salt in there, mainly because salt, if you have potatoes in there, that salt is going to be absorbed in the potato. So you're not going to taste it.
Wow.
So add the seasoning like that at the end of cooking, because that is where that seasoning will stay a little bit more. Also look at when you're buying broths and stocks, make sure that you're finding the low sodium options. Of course, you can always get, if you're somebody who has a very salty, salt's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who is a very salty palate, don't go for the no salt added, go for the low sodium.
Okay.
But that's one thing. If you look at those labels and compare them, the sodium is crazy between them. So that's the no salt added is going to be like maybe 10, 20, maybe 100 milligrams where per cup, as opposed to the other stuff that it's going to be like 500 to 600 milligrams per cup. So it's the things like that where you're watching those labels. And we do talk about making your own broth at home and making your own stock. I do give you kind of step by step, as well as thickening soups. We'll get through the substitutes as well. So we'll talk about substituting, say, whole whipping cream for half and half. And you cut like 300 calories. So it's little things like that, where if you have a classic tried and true, I mentioned my chicken and wild rice.
Yeah.
That's a very common Minnesota recipe. And I found ways to cut down on those calories instead of using whole whipping cream. We're going to use half and half.
Cool.
And how am I going to thicken it? I'm going to add cornstarch.
Okay.
So there's things like that where you just kind of make little changes. But this class is going to be really fun. It's perfect. We're in fall. So as the cool weather comes in, I love soup all year round, but soup is one where if you freeze it, it tastes even better after it's been frozen. So
that's really cool added fact there. Then you're going to learn all these tips and tricks and more at this. This is so many cool things. And it's almost like a formula when you when you're missing out on a piece. There's another thing you can add in to make this a full equation. There, it's really cool for my math folks out there. That is really awesome. So our heart healthy soups. When is this one appearing? Where?
Yeah, so this one's really exciting. It's October 22nd from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and it'll be at Taylorville Memorial Hospital. You'll actually register with the extension office because I do watch for anyone who has allergies. And just when I buy ingredients, I know. You can call our office in Taylorville, or you can always go to our website and register that way. You can also call a hospital and they'll tell you where to go to as well. But if you call the extension office, we'll get you signed up right away.
So plenty of ways to get involved there, and a cool relationship forming with Taylorville Memorial Hospital. It sounds like they have a decent classroom set up there. Can you describe that for the people?
Yes, we're very excited. It's actually behind the hospital. I believe we tell people to go to Lot C if you're familiar. It's behind. It's kind of in the back. But again, if you walk through that front door, they'll tell you where to go and where to park, which is really, really nice. But yeah, we've had a great relationship with them the last couple of years. I work with their diabetes educator pretty frequently, and we're doing these quarterly. So this is going to be the start of them. So again, we'll have some kind of cooking aspect to it, but it is about that socialization. It's about talking to other people who are maybe dealing with chronic diseases and how they're managing it. And we all do it through food. Food is our niche.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that's really where the connection really is made right there when you're having those conversations. Really awesome. Lisa Peterson, we got a minute left. Any final words for our listeners?
Yeah. So please feel free to sign up for those classes. Again, both of them are offered at no cost. I'm very excited. I love the soup classes. I'm an advocate for soup all year round. So we're going to be using pressure cookers. We're using stove top. So again, if you're not comfortable with the pressure cooker, all these recipes can be adapted.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Lisa Peterson, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time.
thank
as always.
you.
Absolutely. Lisa Peterson, nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension, right here on our WTIM morning show. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors for this stream, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We stream live on this WTIM morning show on Facebook at Taylorville Daily News and on YouTube on WTIM TV. I've been Tim Zalabak, and you've been listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station. WTIM.